Welcome to The Critique. The material we're analyzing is a summary of Napoleon Hill's 13 Steps to Riches, really focusing on turning desire into wealth.
Okay, let's just get straight into it.
So a key theme running through this, and it's impossible to miss, is the origin story.
The Andrew Carnegie connection.
Exactly, the whole secret formula being disclosed by Carnegie himself. It feels like the entire framework rests on that one claim.
It does. And, for a modern, maybe more skeptical reader, that foundation feels a little shaky.
How so?
Well, to establish maximum credibility and trust, the material really has to address the historical controversy around that claim.
You're talking about the primary source of authority here. The document just repeatedly leverages Carnegie's name.
It does. It references the secret formula, the philosophy being inspired by Andrew Carnegie. It's all presented as, historical fact.
And the weakness there is what?
The weakness is that this reliance on a single, unverified anecdote makes the whole structure feel fragile.
Right.
I mean, we know from solid historical research, a major Carnegie biographer found, and I'm quoting here, simply no evidence that Hill and Carnegie ever even met.
So if you present that connection as gospel,
You immediately give your most sophisticated readers a valid reason to just check out. You lose that crucial credibility right at the start.
okay, but hold on. Are you suggesting we just pull the rug out from under the whole story? I mean, that Carnegie connection is what draws people in. It has gravity.
We don't have to eliminate it. No, not at all. But we have to shift its role.
Okay.
So the suggestion is to strategically move the philosophical foundation away from that unverified anecdote.
And anchor it somewhere else.
Exactly. Anchor it in modern, verifiable success through the principles themselves. You reframe the Carnegie story as an inspirational origin myth, a great starting point, but not the bedrock.
So the value is in the results, not the handshake. That's a powerful pivot. But how do you make that change without it feeling like you're hiding something?
You do it with transparency. That's how you build trust.
Give me an example.
Okay, first, you introduce the counter-argument head-on. Just mention the research. Acknowledge the ambiguity up front. That's what builds credibility.
And then, instead of saying the philosophy came from Carnegie, you pivot.
You pivot to showing it was validated by the success stories that are already right here in the material.
Like Edwin C. Barnes's partnership with Edison.
Precisely. That was a 30-year partnership. Or look at the scale of Charles Schwab's U.S. Steel deal. These aren't just anecdotes. These are colossal, verifiable business achievements.
And they demonstrate the principles at work.
Yes. Definite chief aim, specialized knowledge, all of it. The principles work regardless of who first whispered them into Hill's ear. It makes the whole argument so much more durable because it's grounded in reality.
That idea of objective reality is a good transition to our next point, the mental side of things.
Yes, the self-programming.
Right, reading the wealth statement aloud twice a day, needing to see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. How do we keep that from sounding like magic?
That's the core tension, isn't it? The heavy emphasis on faith and autosuggestion has to be explicitly and rigorously integrated with the fundamental principle of value exchange,
The law of economics.
the law of economics.
So the weakness is that by promoting visualization as this immediate path to wealth, it minimizes the hard reality of the economic exchange.
It really does. And look, the document says there's no such reality as something for nothing. But the practical link between the internal desire and the external service is it's too weak right now.
If the reader thinks the visualization is the main driver, they're set up for failure.
Massive failure. Because they haven't addressed the market. So the suggestion is to strengthen that logical argument. You position the intense mental focus, the burning desire, the faith, not as a magical power.
But as an engine.
Yes, as the engine that provides the persistence and the energy you need to deliver superior service.
Which the material itself says is the only justification for high pay.
Exactly. The mental steps fuel the action. They don't replace the transaction.
I like that. It makes the mental steps intensely practical, not just esoteric. You visualize the wealth to lock in the persistence you need to withstand years of setbacks. It's about grit, not conjuring.
It has to be. And look at the steps in order. Step 5, imagination, demands a definite plan for what you intend to give in return for the money.
Right.
If the mental steps that follow don't constantly reinforce that fifth step, the whole thing just collapses into wishful thinking.
So let's get into some actionable steps. How do you actually forge that link in the text?
Well, for one, when you're detailing step 6, self-programming, you have to explicitly link the intensity of that visualization back to what you're giving in return. That phrase, giving something in return, has to be a constant.
And you could frame the whole visualization exercise as a way to tune in to the practical requirements of the law of economics.
Yes, and stress that knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized through practical plans of action. The mental work organizes the self, the action creates the revenue.
So you need to leverage the strongest language in the original text, not bury it.
Exactly. That core counterpoint needs to be elevated. The system cannot promise something for nothing because the system itself is irrevocably controlled by the law of economics. That sentence needs to be the structural backbone for the whole mental section. It's the anchor against pure fantasy.
Okay, moving on from the mental side to organized planning. The material makes a huge case for persistence.
It does. The stories of Darby's gold mine, Edison's thousands of attempts,
The focus is always on refusing to quit the goal.
which is essential.
Absolutely essential. But that's where the confusion can come in. The definition of organized planning sometimes gets watered down to just not quitting.
And that's not quite right.
It's not. The section on organized planning really needs to pivot from glorifying sheer, blind effort to emphasizing the strategic necessity of quickly abandoning flawed plans.
I see the weakness there. The narrative conflates persistence of effort with persistence of strategy. The text even says defeat may mean your plans have not been sound, but that critical self-analysis is completely overshadowed by the emotional drive to just keep going. It turns planning into just hoping harder. So the author needs to create a clear, actionable distinction between maintaining the definite chief aim and ruthlessly assessing and replacing non-functional plans.
You don't fail by quitting a plan. You fail by sticking with a bad one.
That's it. That's the whole thing. And that refinement defines true organization as strategic agility.
So the suggestion is to elevate that specific instruction. If the first plan does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. Make that a core concept.
And you have to tie that strategic flexibility directly to the tactical use of the mastermind group.
Okay, explain that link.
The mastermind can't just be a supportive community, like a cheerleading squad. It has to be the mechanism for objective, rapid strategic pivoting. When a plan fails, you don't just muscle through. You bring it to the mastermind for an objective review.
So the group's real job is to check plans and introduce specialized knowledge.
Exactly. Think back to the gold miners, Darby and his uncle. They failed because they lacked specialized knowledge about geological fault lines.
Their plan was flawed, not their effort.
Right, a functioning mastermind group would have either had that knowledge or known how to get it. They could have adjusted the plan and saved the whole investment.
So the mastermind isn't just for enthusiasm. It's about plugging knowledge gaps in the plan itself.
And in engineering.
He acquired specialized courses in law instead.
And he did it in 2 years instead of 4. That is the perfect operational definition of organized planning. Recognizing planned failure, adapting, and deploying new knowledge to reach the same goal. It's the necessary counterbalance to persistence.
Okay, so we've covered 3 key opportunities here, all focused on maximizing persuasive power and logical integrity.
First, we talked about anchoring the philosophy's foundation by acknowledging the historical ambiguity of that Carnegie connection.
Right. Doing that transparently lets the principles stand on their own merit.
Second, integrating the mental principles, desire and faith much more tightly with the non-negotiable law of economics.
Which ensures the path to wealth is seen as a value exchange, not just, wishful thinking.
And third, refining the concept of organized planning to really emphasize strategic agility.
Highlighting the willingness to ruthlessly replace failed plans, and using the mastermind group as a tool for objective plan review, not just emotional support.
Exactly.
These suggestions are actionable steps designed to really maximize the impact of your work. We invite you to implement these critiques and, of course, submit your revised material for another round of feedback in the future.